Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Maria Cozette Show, where the left brain meets the right. Today's guest is an incredible community leader, so stay tuned for that interview. And of course, for all information about the show, visit mariacozette.com. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching the Maria Cozette Show, and my guest is I should emphasize on that because I'm very proud of him and all of his accomplishments. He is a community leader and is a Glendale School Board member, as well as the executive director of the Armenian American Museum, and very passionate about designing. So he definitely exercises both sides of the brain. Shant Sahakian, welcome.
Hi, Maria. Thank you.
Hi. Thanks for being here, Shant. This is awesome because I know you, through the community and all these different things that you're doing, but I've never talked to you about your creative side. So thanks for sharing with us today.
Great, happy to be here with you.
Yes, so let's begin. And before we get to your creativity, tell me about your professional and educational background.
Sure, so I'm a lifelong resident of Glendale and a proud product of our public school system.
Yes.
Went on to CSUN for my undergraduate in
Me
arts.
Too.
Awesome,
Nice.
Go Matadors.
Yeah.
So my undergraduate was in arts with an emphasis on graphic design. And then went on to UCLA Extension for a marketing certificate program. So speaking of using both sides of the brain.
Yeah.
And then my professional background, I was very lucky to start very early in my career. I was a student in middle school, and I started a business first building websites, and then it grew to being a full-service marketing and design firm.
Yeah.
And then later in my life, I was very lucky to discover my passion for public service as well, and became lucky to serve as an elected board member with the Glendale Unified School District Board of Education, and also the newly appointed executive director of the Armenian American Museum.
Yes, it's a beautiful journey. Again, I'm so proud of you because you're such a good role model. You're young, you're doing all these amazing things. And I'm sure a lot of people admire the work you do, Shant, really. So let's talk creative. You mentioned as early as the age of 14, you started designing. What inspired you?
First, I was very interested in kind of sketching and drawing, and so I discovered, my passion for the arts at a young age.
Yeah.
And then as technology advanced, I realized you can kind of bring them together. And so I started just tinkering with building websites. I enjoyed it. It was a hobby for me.
Yeah.
And then one day at school, one of my friends said, "Hey, my dad's business needs a website, would you build it for me?" And I was, sure, I'm happy to do it. I love doing it.
Yeah.
And then he asked the question, "So how much will you charge him?" And I'm thinking, charge? Like, oh, this could be a career.
You're like, wait, I'm really passionate about this. I can make money. That's awesome.
Exactly. And so that's kind of the birth of my career in graphic design.
Beautiful. And so, you've done branding, you've created marketing collateral, you've developed apps. Is there a particular project that has resonated with you, maybe something you're, the most proud about?
I've been very lucky to serve many businesses and nonprofit organizations over the years, and I think for all the projects, it was when I could kind of control a lot of the elements. So kind of the visual storytelling that goes into a brand.
Yeah.
So everything from building the website to the mobile app to the logo and the look of the organization, so that it could be consistent.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people, especially nowadays, it's like everybody has to have a website. And there might be a common misconception as to the incredible amount of work it takes to make a website. So what is the knowledge and expertise that's involved in, building a website?
Well, you definitely need the creative side. A large part of building a website is the design, the look and feel, the experience for the user. But it's also very technical. So I was very lucky to learn both design and programming at a young age.
Nice.
And so it does involve a lot of programming and coding, which is kind of the glue that brings the functionality and the creative look together for both websites and mobile apps.
Right. And so you have managed to integrate your creative side into, your role as the executive director of the Armenian American Museum. And I am definitely going to ask you about the museum in a little bit, but I want to know how you've managed to do that. How have you brought in your creative side to, this more so business acumen end of things, more administrative role, yet you're also the creative cat there. So tell me about that.
Well, I think as, both in my role as a school board member and also as the executive director of the museum, I found that I've been able to bring a lot of my kind of creative background and skills together.
Right.
And so, when it comes to the museum, the entire building, the entire experience for the person that walks in the museum is visual storytelling. It's the story of the Armenian people, and it's the story of all the different groups of people that will be featured in the museum as well. And from the exhibition design to also just the educational programs we're going to have there. that will focus on the arts, to the artists we feature. It has been a great opportunity to bring my background in arts to my new career.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I was telling you a little bit earlier in our conversation, I feel like this should have happened a long time ago. And I am so happy that it's happening. And so let's talk about it a little bit, because it's very interesting how the museum has, aside from having tremendous success in fundraising, it has brought together the community as a collective, different organizations working together. In fact, most recently, there was a very successful fundraising event. All the youth are involved. In fact, all age levels are involved. And so what has been this whole process been like as the executive director, leading such a big initiative, really? And then what are some things that we can expect at the museum?
Well, the museum is a historic project. It's going to be a cultural and educational center. It's going to have everything from a permanent exhibition on the Armenian American experience, telling the story of historic Armenia all the way to the genocide, to immigration around the world, to diaspora communities around the world, as well as Armenians' contributions to America.
Right.
And it will also have a traveling multicultural exhibition so that diverse communities can come together, learn about us, and we can learn about them. It will have a learning center, it will have a demonstration kitchen, a performing arts center, and there will be lots of different programs that are a great benefit to the community.
Right.
But from our board of trustees that make up 10 organizations representing a broad section of our community, to, as you mentioned, the recent Young Professionals event, we had over 700 young professionals come together.
Yeah.
Many different young professional organizations that came together and united for the museum. And we were very pleased that we saw that positive response from the community.
Yeah, absolutely. It really was very impressive, very impressive. So I want to rewind back to talk about the Glendale School Board. And I know, of course, that you have constant interaction with our students in the Glendale Unified School District. How have you found creativity playing a role in their learning process?
Well, I think study after study shows that a strong arts education benefits students, both students who are going to pursue fields in the arts, but also overall in their overall academic performance. So it's very important that we strengthen all of our arts programs and preserve them for our students, but also have a lot of opportunities to speak to students. And what I always remind them is one of the most important skills you're going to leave school with, and that is going to have a huge impact on your future career, is creative problem solving.
Right.
Because you're going to be faced with so many different situations, and I think that's an opportunity for our students, our young leaders, our future leaders in the workplace as well, to apply creative problem solving to get them through a lot of difficult situations.
Yeah, very well said. That's very important. Problem solving is very much creative, yeah. And so I asked this question of all my guests, and I'd like to know why you think it's important to have a creative side as a professional and exercise both sides of the brain.
Well, I've been very lucky in my various careers, both as a student learning the arts at CSUN, to serving as a school board member, to running my business, to this new role as the Armenian American Museum Executive Director. I've seen the importance of having a creative side in both your professional life and also your personal life.
Right.
And ultimately, I believe it enriches all of our lives. And so I think for each of us to find that passion, whatever it may be, in a creative field, and be able to apply that, because I think ultimately it will enrich all of us.
Yes, perfection. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on, Shant.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. Much luck to all of your endeavors. Very proud of you. And please stay with us for more of the Maria Cozette Show. Know the Greats, where we spotlight a legend. William Saroyan was born on August 31st, 1908 in Fresno, California. He was an Armenian-American novelist, playwright, short story writer, and awarded the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 1940, and in 1943 won the Academy Award for Best Story. Many of Saroyan's stories were based on his childhood experiences among the Armenian-American fruit growers of the San Joaquin Valley, or dealt with the rootlessness of the immigrant. The short story collection My Name is Aram of 1940, an international bestseller, was about a young boy and the colorful characters of his immigrant family. As a writer, Saroyan made his breakthrough in Story magazine with The Daring Young Man on the Flying Trapeze in 1934. The protagonist is a young, starving writer who tries to survive in a depression-ridden society. Saroyan passed away in Fresno at the age of 72. Half of his ashes were buried in California, and the remainder in Armenia at the Komitas Pantheon near fellow artists such as composer Aram Khachaturian, painter Martyros Saryan, and film director Sergei Parajanov. And I quote, "I should like to see any power of the world destroy this race, this small tribe of unimportant people, whose wars have all been fought and lost, whose structures have crumbled, literature unread, music unheard, and prayers are no more answered. Go ahead, destroy Armenia. See if you can do it. Send them into the desert without bread or water. Burn their homes and churches. Then see if they will not laugh, sing, and pray again. For when two of them meet anywhere in the world, see if they will not create a new Armenia." The Art of Giving, where we spotlight charitable organizations, Teach for Armenia, began in 2013 with an ambitious mission to transform Armenia's public education system. Due to countless historic and political events throughout our history, the education system has become outdated, fragmented, and underfunded. Today, our children are being left behind without the skills, knowledge, and experience they need to determine the course of their future. Through teacher leadership, Teach for Armenia helps to ensure that educational excellence and opportunity reaches every child. The organization has been highly impactful and influential. Today, Teach for Armenia is present in Armenia and Artsakh and works with 85 partner schools, reaching over 11,664 children. Currently, they have 102 fellows and 42 alumni ambassadors, actively working to enable the long-term vision of Teach for Armenia. That's a wrap for the Maria Cozette Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Much love to my guest today, Shant Sahakian. You're such an amazing individual, incredible community leader. We are proud to have you. And of course, for any further information about the show, please visit mariacozette.com/television. You can always like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram for some exclusive footage and stories. And of course, always remember everyone, stay creative. Peace.